Hi, I'm Mike with Craft Supplies USA, and today we're going to take an in-depth look at the Powermatic 3520C Lathe. The Powermatic 3520C is the next evolution of the tried and true 3520 series lathe. It has some thoughtful redesigns and exciting new features. Let's take a closer look, starting at the bottom and working our way up. The first thing you'll notice are the redesigned cast iron legs with riser blocks and adjustable feet. This provides 6 inches of height adjustment and allows you to level up the lathe on uneven floors. These things are really heavy, and the extra weight down low really helps with stability. Inside each leg is a ledge to add a shelf. When turning large or out of balance blanks, I'll make a quick shelf from a couple of 2x6s and stack sandbags on top to stabilize the lathe even more. There are bolt locations on each leg to attach the included tool caddy or an optional bed extension for outboard turning. Working our way up, we have the lathe bed. It's been redesigned and has put on a few pounds, which is actually a good thing. The thick cast iron and internal webbing add incredible vibration dampening and stiffness. It's got a flat angled surface on the front and the back, and I'll show you why that's important in just a minute. The bed ways are 9/16 of an inch thick and the machining is top notch. The tool rest banjo and tailstock glide across with very little effort. Here on the end are mounting holes for optional accessories like the bed extension and tailstock swing away. Next, let's take a look at the redesigned cast iron sliding headstock. The 3520C has an extended cone design which gives you some really nice working space when rechucking bowls. It has a 20-inch diameter capacity, a 1 1/4 by 8 spindle thread, and a number 2 Morse taper. To be able to turn a 20-inch bowl, you need a strong motor. This lathe has a 2 horsepower motor driven by a 2-step pulley with a 7/8 poly V belt. When turning large pieces, you want to change to the slower speed pulley to give you the most torque. The motor is powered and controlled by a variable frequency drive that runs on 220 volt single phase power. Powermatic highly recommends a 20 amp circuit for this lathe, and just below the controller is a new power disconnect switch. Next, let's look at the completely revamped control panel, starting with the spindle lock. It has a nice sturdy knob, and all it takes is a quarter turn to lock and to unlock. It might not seem like a big deal, but it's a huge upgrade over the previous push button style. The most obvious upgrade to the control panel is the new movable control box. It has a digital speed readout, variable speed control, start-stop buttons, and a forward-reverse switch. The buttons and switches have a nice feel to them, but we wish the stop button was a little bigger for when you need to stop the lathe in a hurry. But the most useful feature is that it's movable. It magnetically mounts to the headstock or anywhere along the lathe bed. This is where the angled front of the bed comes into play. It provides a nice flat surface that has enough angle to easily see the display and use the controls. Movable controls are convenient, but they really make turning safer. I no longer have to reach around a large piece to make adjustments on the control panel. Simply mount it within reach, out of harm's way. Another handy feature is the digital indexing. Push the index button here, and the display changes to indexing mode. Rotate your workpiece where you want it, then press the button again to zero it out. Then use the spindle indexing lock at the back of the headstock to lock the spindle in place. There are 48 indexing positions, and the display automatically resets to RPM when the lathe spindle is turned on. And on this side of the headstock is a full-size hand wheel, which is always nice to have. The belt tensioning lever and lock are located right up front too, which makes belt changes a snap. The headstock itself is made from cast iron and can be positioned anywhere along the lathe bed. There are times when this can be handy, but when turning large pieces, we always recommend parking the headstock right over the leg. You'll find there's much less vibration, and that goes for any lathe with this feature. Next, we'll take a look at the tool rest and the banjo. The banjo is cast iron and has a wide footprint, and the long locking handle makes it easy to lock it firmly in place. The lathe does come with a traditional style 14-inch cast iron tool rest. The tool rest is held in place using a wedge bushing mechanism that locks solidly in place and won't mar the tool rest post. Moving on, let's look at the tailstock. It's made from cast iron and has a nice, long locking handle so you can really lock it firmly in place. And it has a handy little cubby for storage. The Tailstock Quill is a number 2 Morse taper and has 4.5 inches of travel. The quill is laser etched in both imperial and metric, and when you wind it all the way in, it self-ejects the revolving center. The quill now has an Acme thread which is smooth and very fast. It used to take 16 turns to travel 1 inch, now it only takes 6 turns. I recently drilled a set of pepper mill blanks on this lathe and it was much faster. That new feature is quite handy. The only complaint is how heavy the tailstock is. It weighs 53 pounds and can be a pain to take on and off frequently. We highly recommend the optional tailstock swing away if you need to remove the tailstock frequently. It's a really nice accessory for this lathe. Here's a tip. Every lathe comes with a faceplate attached, and before you try to remove it, make sure you loosen the 2 set screws. And don't ask me how I know this. The lathe comes with a 4-prong drive center, 3-inch faceplate and faceplate wrench, double bearing revolving cup center that has a removable cone attachment, and a slide hammer and knockout bar. The lathe also comes with comparator brackets which are handy in production spindle turning. Mount the master spindle between the dead centers, then it's easy to transfer measurements to the blank. It's not something we do a lot around here, so I'll remove the tailstock bracket, which will make the tailstock about 6 pounds lighter. I will, however, leave the bracket on the headstock because it's the perfect place for a magnetic work lamp. One more little detail here. On each end of the lathe bed there's a safety stop pin. This keeps you from moving the headstock or tailstock too far and accidentally dropping it off the end. It's always a good idea to keep these in place. As you can see, this is a big lathe. It weighs in at 726 pounds, nearly 100 pounds more than its predecessor, which gives it plenty of heft for large turnings. But there are a lot of smaller upgrades like the polished handles, the tool rest and tailstock locking mechanisms, power disconnect switch, and magnetic door catches that really add to the superb fit and finish of this lathe. One of the most important features is Powermatic's 5-year warranty. The warranty is an industry leader, and the fact that they also have parts and service centers across the US gives us serious peace of mind. Now let's do a quick recap of the major specs. The Powermatic 3520C has a 20-inch diameter capacity, 35.5 inches of true working distance between centers, a 2-horsepower motor, electronic variable speed, movable control with digital indexing readout, 1¼ by 8 TPI spindle, and number 2 Morse tapers. We're very impressed with this machine. In fact, we had a hard time finding anything we didn't like about it. Powermatic definitely put some thought and design into this lathe. If you'd like to know more about the Powermatic 3520C Lathe, please give us a call at 1-800-551-8876. We're the experts when it comes to wood turning. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, be sure to check out woodturnerscatalog.com for the largest selection of wood turning supplies in the industry.